Hello everyone, this is Shalene right here. Today I am continuing from where I left off 2 weeks ago. I was unable to stream last week, was not feeling well at all, but I am continuing where I left off. And today I'm kind of excited to start because we're going to be doing some sketches, some sketching and creating characters. And I think that it should be exciting. I look forward to it. I've been avoiding doing it for a while, but today's the day. Today is that fateful day when I actually start sketching some characters. So the goal is to create characters that are centered around a story, and I don't have a story, and I've been trying to come up with one, but I haven't been able to. But I'm going to follow the inspiration of the character, and maybe the character will give me a story, and maybe it'll solidify some things. I have some ideas that I'd like to create, but they're not totally fleshed out just yet. So I'm just gonna start and see where things go. So a really great thing is that I actually purchased a canvas. And if you don't know this brand, hold on. This is the brand. I purchased one of these and I'm so excited to be using it today because it's my stream is no longer shaky. It's not as shaky as it used to be, like when I would make any stroke. And I just set it up. It just arrived today at around 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I am using my canvas setup and it is so nice. So if you are somebody who is definitely on the lookout for a type of tripod or overhead setup, I highly suggest Canvas. I've only been using it for about an hour and playing around with it, but it is absolutely phenomenal. It comes with lights. It comes with so many things. There's different adapters for every single country, I'm pretty sure, power adapters, and it's so easy to set up. So for now, I'm just gonna jump right into drawing because I'm going to just follow the flow, and wherever it stops for today. So I'm just gonna pull up a new window and go from there. I am seriously loving this canvas overhead setup. Like, it is literally the bomb. My phone isn't shaking when I'm drawing as much. Like, this is such an upgrade. Super happy with this purchase. It's a bit pricey for me living in Canada with the shipping and the taxes and everything. However, I know this is going to totally change the game and maybe even motivate me to create more videos about me drawing because I don't have my tripod literally dangling for its life right right over the screen. So I'm just going to really take advantage of this purchase. It is so good. It's so functional. It's so versatile. This is like a dream come true, the way it functions and how easy it is to manipulate. And if you haven't heard what I said, it is the canvas overhead what do you call it, overhead like tripod thingy, desk thing. It is so good. The couple behind this creation, I'm so thankful to you both, and I'm definitely happy for this investment into my workspace. It is saving my life right now, not having to like touch my tripod every 2 seconds. So highly suggest that. Highly suggest if you were ever on a lookout for a new tripod or something for when you're drawing or painting and you just want to record content on your phone without blocking the camera, without everything shaking, and without feeling like you need it to be right in your face. Like, no, this thing is super tall, but it can also get super low. So maybe I'll make a short video on it. It's just so incredible. I'm talking a whole bunch, but I wish I could just describe how amazing it is. Like, I love it. If you've seen my previous streams, like even me using my eraser, it was so shaky, but now I have much more stability. So that's that. I feel in regards to the portfolio that I've been building, I do feel like it's been a little bit challenging for me to keep the faith and finish it. I after 2 weeks ago, if you've seen that stream, you know that I have seen that stream. you know that I have created like an outline of what's left to do. And I feel like I've gotten maybe almost a quarter of the way through, or maybe more than a quarter, one third. But now that I'm going into actually creating story elements, I feel a little bit more, I won't really say discouraged. I just feel a little bored. And I feel like it's because I've been psyching myself out in regards to this process of creating with my portfolio, doing the character studies. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, character studies, if not turnarounds. And if I can create a character that I like, I'll make a turnaround of her and work on it live if I have the time. But doing that process freaks me out sometimes. And so I feel like I've been delaying that even for my live streams. And so, as important as it is to do, I've been avoiding it. And today, I don't feel like doing it, but I'm just gonna jump in there and see what happens. My style has been changing. I won't say a lot, but I've been exploring my style. I've been taking time to draw for myself. And if you haven't seen my Instagram post already, I created this piece that I made last week, Friday, and I loved it so much. Like, I am in love with it. I had so much fun making it. I haven't done like some sort of realism in my own style in maybe 2 years, if not longer. Like the last time I drew like this was so long ago, if even if it was a sketch. And so I'm happy to be reconnecting with myself. This was my goal. And so I feel like live streaming has really pushed me to put myself first and to really bring out the qualities of my art that I want to see or explore and touch with. So I don't know if I'll keep drawing like this, but anything that inspires me for my personal art, I am definitely going to be continuing to explore those things, because this makes me excited. Even though it's just a portrait, like, it honestly makes me so excited. And so I'm just going to continue with the things that make me smile. That's the whole point of all of this. So let's keep going. If you're catching this on the replay, I just want to say hi. Hello, how are you? How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. In regards to, if you're watching this because you're working on your own children's book portfolio, I just want to commend you for starting and hope that your process goes well, and that the pieces that you're creating in your portfolio, that they make you smile, and that you find yourself in a place where your portfolio doesn't define all of you, but it represents parts of you that you feel are adequate to show. And so I'm really hoping that for any of you watching this on the replay, if you can't see this live, that you just remember that your art is yours. No one else can put a value on it apart from what you are giving it. And it's super important for you to continue to work at the things that matter to you. As much as being a children's book illustrator is great and having opportunities, I feel like never forget that it's your art, your hard work, and your ideas that get you there. And ultimately, it's you that people enjoy seeing and that they like having around. And your art is only an extension of you. So don't feel like your art needs to be perfect. This is really just a journey that you're on, and people are just connecting to you through your art, because what is your art without you, after all? So now working into this sketch here, don't really know what I'm doing yet. um I just know that I want it to be a little girl. I need to get out of my portraiture mindset and really get into um, zooming out and drawing a character. Like, I need to force myself out of this. I'm super rough, but that's okay. I just need to create something. The idea is to create something and then to go from there. Sometimes I don't even know like what I'm doing. I just go with it. just follow the flow. And sometimes that's all you need. Because if you're like me and you feel like you should have an idea before you start, you might never start. And that's worse than anything. So really just take it upon yourself and just do whatever it takes for you to start. I feel like that's the main thing. Do whatever it takes to start. People tell you, don't use as much lines and try to be as concise as possible. Yeah, but if you're struggling with getting things done in the first place, it's better that the line is on the page because at least you're drawing. So just begin and worry about the details later because if you don't have anything to show for the time that you've been spending drawing, I feel like that's the real tragedy when you're really doing this for yourself. So do what works for you and then edit along the way. Because I know I'm not doing this the best way I can, but I'm already struggling with committing to this process. So why make it harder for me? I feel like with what I want to do with my style going forward, I want to simplify it a bit more and transform it in that way. But it'll have to be reflected in the environments that I create. And so I feel like what I've been doing before is I've been creating somewhat realistic proportions, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to keep doing. And so I want to have a very textured, a very fun, a very active facial expression and hair, but I think I want to keep the body and the actual paint style very simple. And so let's see where this goes. I think I want to, like, I don't know why, but I see like cornrows going back and maybe like a really big poof. That's just what I see, and maybe even some braids here with beads on the bottom. That's what I'm envisioning as I'm drawing, and then maybe a story will come to me after. I feel like what'd be really cool is seeing, I think I want to create a story that is based in Jamaica. I have not been since I was a child, and I feel like I need to plan a trip to Jamaica to get some inspiration and like soon because I want to create a story that is based there, and maybe it'll be like a young adult novel or a comic of that sort, or a graphic novel I should say. I would love to do that. I actually have a story that I've been working on. Well, I wouldn't say working on, that I had come up with maybe a year or two, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. But I left it on the shelf because comics are not my forte. I struggle with the idea of committing to drawing pages and pages and pages upon panels of comics. I feel like the mundane aspect of that type of repetition bores me out, and that has caused me to delay in writing this comic and to into drawing this comic. And so I feel like what actually inspires me to continue creating is to think of stories that remind me of home. And when I actually think of my parents, my upbringing, my husband and I, our parents both come from Jamaica. We're Canadian citizens, but we both identify as like ethnically, our background is Jamaican. And it's so much fun to talk about stories about how we were raised and things that we've learned growing up from our perspective. And I was like, how cool would it be to actually have a story based in Jamaica? And I love that. Or just featuring a Jamaican character and taking that perspective of what I've learned over the years and implementing the aspect of that culture. I think that'd be really fun to experience as a reader. And it's something I want to see. And as I develop my workspace, I actually feel like I've been entertaining the idea of working on a comic more and more. And so I, even with getting this lamp that I've been showing you, I'll keep showing you it. I purchased this and it just came today. It's so amazing. with this purchase. Why it inspires me is because I feel like because I'm making my space a bit more conducive for creating art, it's allowing the inconveniences that would have hindered me from doing things before to not really be a reason for to stop me. And so I'm actually considering, you know what? Maybe I can actually do this and commit to it. And I've always wanted to make comics. Like in my middle school years, I created my own comics and I still have them in my sketchbooks and on papers, and I put them in clear plastics and everything. However, I stopped because I really didn't know if it was a real career I could get into, but also it required so much work and my skill level just wasn't where I wanted it to be. But now that I've gotten older and I realize that I might not ever get to that skill level that in my mind I feel I should be, but I think I'm comfortable enough with where I am that I'd rather learn along the way. And so, that's where I find myself. I think I'm ready to tell a story. I think I'm ready to tell a story through a children's book and through a comic. Don't quote me on the time when it'll come out, but I think I'm ready. I'm just sharing this. I'm putting it out there because I definitely have a story. I just have to put it out there and believe in myself enough to see it through to the end, because I feel like starting wouldn't be as hard for me as finishing it. And I know for some people starting it is totally different. Like that's the challenge. Like once they start, they know they're going to finish. But when it comes on to art for me, oh my gosh, it is so hard for me to finish sometimes. I feel like 5 years ago, I was a type of person that could finish what I started. And here I am now, and I look at my previous self and I'm just like, that is not me. Like I struggle with finishing because I feel like there's just so much work involved, and maybe before it was because I was still learning. So I didn't actually understand the scope of what was involved. But now that I know more about how many hands are in the pot and how much coordination it takes, I can psych myself out, and that is a huge challenge for me. So I'm closer. I am one step closer to accomplishing one of my goals, which is doing a comic. Actually, it's a bucket list item. I will definitely say that because seriously, how many things do we say that we want to do and just stay in the bucket list? I'm wrong for that. I am so wrong. I actually started writing this comic. I was doing the whole scenario. I was digging deep, like super deep. Thank you, Marco. Success to you from Brazil. Success to you too. Thank you for showing up today. Success to you from Canada. And so, how many things do we do and we say that we're going to do, but we never actually get on that journey and stay on the journey? I feel like I really started getting the ball rolling, but as I got deeper into the details, I totally stopped. And from someone I know, they told me to stop researching and to just jump into it, and that's what they did. And I feel like maybe that's just what I need to do. Like I need to stop doing research. I need to just do the thing. I need to just fumble, like keep fumbling and just do it and have fun. Like I don't want to make projects. I don't want to work on things that aren't interesting to me. And I feel like I'm scared of that failure. And failing, like doing a bad job isn't so bad. It's the fact that I did it. So, you know what? I need to just get over that hump that tells me it needs to be perfect or I need to have everything figured out before I start. And I'm super proud of myself for acknowledging that, because for years I was like, nope, I need to have learned everything to know about cell shading and skin tones and backgrounds. Backgrounds is like the bane of my existence. Like I if you know me and you've seen my art before, you know that I'm working on my backgrounds. So I have to stop letting that be a reason to stop letting the story come forth. So I am a recovering I'm a recovering writer, and I have to start believing that I have a story to tell. Here I am saying all this, but will. I'm gonna get to it because since I'm talking about it, it pretty much means that I'm pretty close to actually doing something about it. Usually I don't really mention anything I'm not doing. And so that's pretty much it. So me working on this right now, I kind of feel a little something, and I don't want to make it. No, I feel something with this little character. She's adorable. And then I'll just keep reworking her till it looks like it's like she's a main character and not just a character that I'm drawing. I think that's good. Should I put her in a uniform? That's the question. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly how this will evolve. This sketch will evolve over the next hour, but it will. I'm sure it will. Okay, I think that's a good base to start with. Hey Marco, so you said, do you use paths to close the areas to fill with colors later, or just freehand to put color base to the character's face? So I definitely use paths if this is what you mean by like a path, that's what I do 100% of the time. I find it's cleaner, it's faster, and especially if I'm not doing like really clean lines or for my line art, it's just so much easier to just use like a path and outline it and then just paint bucket and dump the color. And so I feel like it's helped in terms of speed. Like if you struggle with, for me, I used to actually fill it in with like my brush, right? And then paint bucket tool. But what I've learned is that sometimes you miss those little, like when you draw, if you draw, oh, that's a terrible circle. If you draw that and you fill the bucket, depending on if, like what device you're in, when you, for example, you can't see it. Hold on. Like there's like usually a line that doesn't get filled in Photoshop. I don't know how to get rid of that. So I find when you use the actual path and then you fill it, it doesn't leave a line at all. So I don't use brushes anymore. I just use the path and it's super fast. So if you zoom out enough, that'll work. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and let me know, and I'll be sure to get back to you once I look at my screen and I see it. So I think I should leave this character there. I like what I'm looking at. We're gonna move on to the next one. maybe with this character, I'll play a bit more around with the eye shape. I think I want to try shy, like someone a bit more shy. And so I really have to play around a bit more with the expression and the body language. So let's see how that works. I'm reaching a point where I, so Wild Artist, hi, how are you? Happy to see you here today. You asked, how do you make proportional size between adult and child? And the child, I struggle to make them look, hold on, it's cutting off on my screen. To make them look different, especially in chibi. So the best way to distinguish between them, in my opinion, is you have to really consider the head size, because the size of the head really indicates to us as people sometimes like the age of the character. So the head size proportionate to the body. Like for example, if I were to take this character and this is her head and I make it smaller, you can almost assume she got older. So sometimes when it comes on to distinguishing between like adults and children, adults just have more space, more head space between their bodies in proportion. Okay, let me break it down because I'm pretty sure you've heard this before, but just in case you haven't. So this is a character. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me fix her back up. This is a character. She's not necessarily a chibi because she still has like long proportions and she's not like squished together. So the way you would distinguish between like an adult body, a child's body, and a chibi is by looking at their head size and considering how, okay, got it, and considering how many heads does it take to reach the full size of this character's body. And when it comes on to an adult now, it would just be, if this was the head and this is where their feet were, you'd probably have like 5, 6 heads in there, for example. And this is the head, and then you'd still find a way to do the neck, and then the body, or the torso, and then the legs, and then the shoes. So everything is proportionate to the size and the dimension of the head that you're creating. And I feel like it's just a rule of thumb. I'm probably not describing it the best way possible, but that's how you would look at it. Because a chibi now, if you were drawing a chibi, let's use this one because it's right there. And I'm just gonna duplicate this. So if this was a chibi, it would be so much smaller. This proportion, I'd probably fit this body in like one more head somehow. And you know that's how chibis are. They just, that's how you do it. So you'd really look at, this is, chibis are 2 heads and you're fitting the entire body within those 2 spaces. So how you choose to break that up is up to you. But usually, because chibis are inspired by Japan and Japanese culture, there are rules to how the actual art is supposed to look. So usually it's 1 head and then the next head is like the body, and then you get a little bit of wiggle room for the appendages, like the arms and the legs. But for me, what would make it a child in my style, this would probably be like 3 heads and a half. And then when I'm doing a full adult, it'd probably be like 6 heads, maybe 5. So that's how I would probably break it up and briefly explain it. But it's all visual, it's like visual cues, because drawing a chibi, if you had no idea what a chibi was and you were to pair somebody who just knew what children look like and you brought them an image of a chibi and a child, they probably wouldn't be able to distinguish pretty well why a chibi looks the way it does. They would just feel like it was a little person more than it was a child. So just remember that as long as you're adhering to those rules of the style, you can really pull off almost anything. You are so welcome, Wild Artist. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I'm here. As long as I'm working on this portfolio right now, I am here. So I think for this character, whoopsie, wrong layer. I said I wanted her to look a bit more shy. So shyness does not mean that you're scared or anything, but I do want to convey that maybe she is more sheepish. So I want to change her port. Like this character has shoulders that are up, so she's a bit more perky and excited, but I want her to be a bit more, I won't say down, but more reserved. I'm trying to stay zoomed out because when I zoom in, I start focusing on details and it stops me from seeing the big picture. And so doing it this way really helps. And I'm not following any rules right now. I am genuinely just going off of the fact that if I try to do a skeleton and everything right now, I will be stuck on trying to perfect that skeleton. I'll be stuck on anatomy. I am trying to use this next hour, however long I'm here, to get something done and on the page. So I'm not trying to focus on making it perfect. I want the idea to come out first. So if it looks wonky, it is. So I'm gonna change her outfit. I'm gonna put her in pants. I think I want her to have one shoulder's a bit too long there. And I have to clarify, it might look wonky, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just not the guidelines for my own art that I use because, you know, everybody's art has different focuses and they play on different style cues. But for me, if I were to not be consistent with my own rules that I've made for my art, it would be obvious that I'm not following the path that I set out for the viewer, and it wouldn't really make sense. And so certain proportions just have to be maintained. I'd probably make this character 7 or 8 years old, maybe 10. I'm not sure yet. I haven't created an adult, like you were saying too in your question, to really scale how old this character would look in this world. Let's see. I think I could, I don't know if I want to put hair in her face. Something I really have a challenge with is believing my own style is like a real thing. And when I start to look at the incredible artists around me who create books, if I go to a bookstore, everyone else's art honestly makes so much sense to me. Like I can totally see how they're doing what they're doing, but when I look at my own work, I feel like there can be moments when I'm observing my art and it just, I really question some of the decisions that I've made. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is actually a consistent or even a realistic style that should exist. And it just goes to show that sometimes you really have to believe in your style, because it makes sense to me in my head, but when I see it out in the world existing with other things, you really have to stand up for your babies, which is like your artwork, because they only exist in you, and then you bring them outside and then you create that world where they exist. And sometimes I don't quite feel like what I'm creating is a real world. Like I have to continually reinforce to myself that what I'm making is 100% a real thing, and it doesn't need to be challenged. Like it exists, and this is the work. And so I just find it interesting that sometimes I'm looking at my work right now and I'm really trying to figure out, like, where is this going? And sometimes I know the decisions that I'm going to make that'll get me there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was easy for me to accept that this is mine. I guess it's easy to feel like it's not what I see outside, and so I have to accept that this is just what comes out of me when I sit down and draw. And even that can be kind of hard on some days, because I'm like, why don't I draw the way I want to draw, like in my mind? Some days I do and some days I don't, and that can be really challenging when the picture I have in my mind and what I'm actually putting down on the page isn't really lining up, and all I have is a feeling inside, and I just totally missed the mark. You really have, like, believing in your style of art is a responsibility, because not everybody, but a lot of people will tell you, you know, this doesn't make sense or this doesn't look right. But sometimes it doesn't need to look right. It honestly doesn't. It doesn't need to be anatomically correct. It doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to tell a story. And I feel like that's the whole focus, and that actually is the point, if that's what you were trying to get across. And it's important not to get hung up on whether or not you can draw like Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo and do what they do, because I sure can't do that. And I actually kind of like my art. Like I finally reached a point where I'm like, hey, I know that I can't draw the most anatomically correct things, not because I can't, but because I'm bored and those things don't interest me. And even if I were to do that, I feel like I would be losing out on the opportunities to actually explore what makes me happy than to create art that pleases everyone. And I would lose the story that's in my heart that actually is interesting to me. And so even though I feel like I can see other people's art and really appreciate it for what it is, I'm finding that space where I'm like, I really do have to maintain a defense of my style, because this is what when I sit down, this is what comes out, and this is me. So literally there's nothing else. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to say. It's just, this is how my world gets expressed. So now that I've gone a little further with the drawing, I'm going to lower her head a bit more, tilt it a little bit. Okay, so this drawing is still coming along. I think it'd be kind of cute to raise a shoulder here. Are we feeling the shoulder? Yes, we are. Okay, we are feeling a little bit of a shoulder raise. Isn't this the cutest thing? Okay, so, man, drawing is so much fun. So here we're building our character. Isn't she the cutest thing? Like, you just gotta keep drawing sometimes. Never stick with your first pass. Just keep going. Keep digging. Sometimes you dig and you really don't get anything out of it, but like, there are times you keep digging and you actually get something that inspires you. So let's see. Why don't we make this longer? Yes, and keep going. So it's 12:39. Managed to get 2 characters started, and it's time to keep going. I'm gonna try to maybe make 2 more characters, and from that character, from the 4, I'm going to decide on one of them, and then I'm going to create a character turnaround. I don't know if I won't be able to do all of that today. I won't be able to make the turnaround today. That's 100% sure. But by next week, the goal would be to do the 4 characters and complete a turnaround of that character. That would be awesome. So let's try another one. So we did hair back, pulled back, hair pulled back and up. Um, oh. I think I want to do something like this with like a front bang, but we'll see. So this character I actually drew just bigger. So I'll just make it smaller, adjust it to size, and keep going from there. So this is actually kind of flat. I think I should create some angles, or I should really push out the chest. I think I still want the legs to be out. Okay, I'm focusing too much on minute details. So let's keep going. I'm feeling tank top. And I think I'm feeling a skirt. I think I am. After all that work, yep, I think this is it. How about a star belt? Feeling ponytails. Okay, so Okay, so we have three characters. We have our generic first character, our very generic first character. We have a super cute shy one and an adorable kind of pouty girl. So let's do one more. I'll probably have to keep doing studies off camera and off live stream to really get a sense of what I'm actually looking for, because um this is super generic for a sketch. It doesn't really feel strong to me. I was just sketching. These two, they have potential, but as you can see, they're kind of different styles. And although that's fine, I have to decide what I want to do because I need to keep it consistent. So whichever one I end up going with is going to be the one that you'll see next week. And so let's work on one more character. I just remembered, so I was working on a bedtime scene, I think 2 weeks ago. I did not finish that piece yet. Like, I do need to complete it. I just haven't been inspired to do it. There's just something about it that's just not really working out for me, and I'm struggling with getting it to just make sense. And so that's that. When it's done, maybe I'll finish it in the week. Then I'll give you guys a preview. But apart from that, there's nothing else really to show. Now let's do that angle. Hmm. I am aging up this character as I keep drawing, and I'm conscious of that, but it's not what I want. I still want her to be a child. Okay, so this body's way too big. Gotta size it down. Something that I noticed as I'm drawing is that I got so lazy on this character, and it's so easy to see compared to the others. So I'm definitely gonna have to rework her. A part of me started to check out, and I was more or less just sketching and having fun, which is totally fine, but it's not the look that I was going for. Okay, what if I just gave her like an afro with a part? Okay, not feeling the frill either. Gonna have to try a new hairstyle. Okay, so a bit closer than I was before. I feel like I like this one, this pose that is turning into a lot more. I got much less lazy with my approach. And let's see. She would look so adorable in a skirt, but I don't know if that's the moment right now. I don't know if that's the moment. It might be. But do you see how I've just been jumping from style to style? This is not, when you're doing your turnaround, that is not what you want to see. So for explorations, it's fine, but once you decide on a style, you have to maintain that style. So for what it's worth, the explorations I'm doing today are well worth it. And I think it's just helping me see how do I want to do the style later. I think I naturally gravitate to these, and this is like when I'm really rough and sketchy. So, hey, so you said I just stumbled across this, but I'm staying. So happy to see that you're staying. You are so welcomed here. I am working on my children's book portfolio. I'm an illustrator and I illustrate children's books. And my old one is really dated and it was made back in 2018, 2019. And so it's time for an upgrade because my style has changed for a while and I haven't actually taken the time to see what's in the vault. So I am exploring what I what I make, I guess. So thank you for stopping by. I'm just trying to bring together a style because I am working on a character sheet for a story right now, and what I'm trying to accomplish with this is to settle in on the type of style that I want to do it in, and then I'm going to create a character turnaround, a 360 view, or at least the most common angles of a turnaround. And then I'm going to add it to my portfolio that I'm building. Every Friday, I try to come on live and work on it in the moment, and so it's been really helpful because otherwise I feel like I don't set aside this time, but holding myself accountable to take this hour from 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till whenever I decide is like the best time to finish has really gotten me really far. If you've seen my old streams, you know I've completed a couple pieces now since February. So it's been helpful to commit to this hour. See, this style is way too detailed. I wanted to have like a more simplified style like this one, but I have way too much fun drawing like this. It's just naturally in me. It's not coming out. I think I should just embrace it at this point. You should totally embrace. I think this is it. This is the OG 101 Shalene style. This is just what I do. I've gone from super rough first sketch of the hour to like right back to what I normally do. And it's not that it's bad. I think as I warm up, this is just what fun looks like for me. I love how big the eyes are. Oh my gosh, yes, I absolutely love eyes, and hair are like my favorite thing to do. Anatomy is fun when you know how to do it, but apart from that, oh my gosh, eyes, I can do that for days. So for those of you on the replay that will be catching the stream, you will see the progression over the weeks. So today, I feel like this is where I'm at today. I don't know what else to make. Anything else I do will truly and truly be. I feel like I would actually create a story around her. And it might not be for a book that is for a newborn, of course, but I feel like this character inspires me. I said in the beginning that I did not know where I was going with this, and it progressively got better, but I like her. She's kind of adorable. So I feel like I might rock with her, play around with her a bit more, and then next week, for next week's stream, I'm going to deep dive a little deeper because why not? So what I want to have finished, and I'm just saying it so it's out there, I want to compile these onto a sheet, and then I want to I want to have the turnaround completed. It's ambitious, but yes, if it's not completed, I'll complete it live. But I want those two things done. And then I want to maybe go on to the next character, which could be like her friend, a brother, a family member, and then going from there. Because I can build on her. I think I'm going to give her a super gigantic hoodie when I redo this next week. And so it'll add more character and dimension and a bit more fun to it. I'm feeling it. Hey Bubble Studio. I'm pretty much wrapping things up, but I'm just going over what I've done so far. So this is the character I'm going with. I think I'm gonna give her like a baggy sweater, oversized sweater, with like some looser jeans. I think that'd be so cute. Like I feel like the story's coming. This is where I started on the hour, and then I progressed. I got to her. I did Shy. I did someone a bit more stern. Thank you, Bubble Studio. And we got to her. And I was mentioning that in the beginning, it was so rough and like super tight, and I started to loosen up as I was drawing. So everyone else to not believe that the first drawing you make is the best drawing. Sometimes you just have to keep pushing through and see what's in the vault, and you really have to dust it all out, sweep everything out, see what's really in there, because I'm really happy with this. I actually really enjoyed this one here that I was working on. Like I've been saying, I probably said this 3 times already, but whenever I try to confine myself to this really simple style, it always goes back into a bit more detailed, and I feel like detail is fun for me and it's inspiring. So I need to just embrace that going into my next portfolio, that even if it's a bit more detailed, there's a bit more structure and anatomy, it's not a bad thing. And so making me want to work on my character profiles. Yes, let's go. So for this story, I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm going to create the story based around this character. She's really inspiring me. So next week I'm gonna have the character turnarounds ready, and we're gonna start on her friend or the enemy of her story. I don't really know what it is yet. And then once those things are done, maybe in the 3rd week from now, we'll be moving into doing some actual spreads, some book spreads, some full colored spreads. So that's going to be an interesting journey to have you guys on. I've never actually done that live, and it'll be fun, but this hour has been super helpful. I was so hesitant to start it in the first place because character profiles and character studies, as fun as it is, it's super daunting. And it's daunting to me because the page is blank, and that is just so, there's something about a blank page when you don't even have a story that makes it so challenging. So I 100% feel much more ready to go into building a story, knowing I've taken some time to find out the style that I actually like and that's inside me. And a character that is so cute and adorable. A story is coming to me. And I thank you so much, Bubbles, for your support and your positivity. Thank you for your presence. Thank you. So I feel like that's it.